This is my 15.4 sports rehabilitation program. So my athlete is Ben Trevor and his sport is football. He's a striker who plays at professional level in the Premier League. As seen in his notes, his injury is a grade 3 Achilles tendon rupture. His estimated time of recovery is 4 to 6 months, as it is a grade 3 rupture, and this means that he's potentially going to be out for the whole season. So from the overview, we can see that the injury occurred due to impact when someone on the opposing team made a sliding tackle from behind just before Trevor was to take a strike at goal. So going down the page, firstly we have the days, weeks and months, and then it goes into the different phases. So phase 1 is the acute phase, and this has the goal of reducing pain and inflammation to the player's injury. So it's going to reduce the pain of the Achilles and make the inflammation and swelling go down. So as a result of this phase, the athlete won't be able to participate in any physical activity until the swelling, inflammation and pain has gone down. So that means they're just going to have to rest. And then phase 2's goal is to introduce proprioception, and this phase is the functional movement phase. This phase is important because the athlete needs to increase his range of motion. So light static structures are introduced as well as dynamic and ballistic, and these are for balance and stability. So moving on to phase 3, and this is the strengthening phase, and the goal is to introduce body weight and just weight exercises, so these are like free weights. And the final phase, phase 4, is sport-specific training. So this will involve football-specific sports for this athlete and training. So lateral movement, quick changes of direction and speed-based exercises will be introduced, and this stage is necessary to ensure that Ben Trevor is maintaining his skill-based aspect of the sport. So going down the page now, we have the stages of healing graph, and this represents the stages of recovery, and the blue line is the inflammation stage, and this is the first stage, as it's the body's first initial response to the injury. The reddy orange line is the repair stage, so this is when the athlete will be focusing on the stability, strengthening and movements of the injury. And then the final line on the graph is the grey line, and this is the remodelling stage of the stages of recovery, and this is for picking up the stability and being able to put more weight on the injury. So the next part of the spreadsheet is this this kind of table, I guess, and it shows the treatment plan for the athlete, and it shows all the different treatment options that will be suitable for the athlete during his injury's recovery. So the colours and numbers show the priority order of the treatments at different points of the injury. So the first treatment that we're going to prioritise is taping, and this will help stabilise the injury, and this is essential as it helps make sure the injury doesn't deteriorate, and it also helps reduce the pain. So the next one is electrotherapy, and this should be used three times a day for around 30 minutes a time. And this type of therapy helps relax the muscles around the injury and helps relieve pain by increasing the circulation. Next is thermotherapy, and this helps with delayed onset muscle soreness by increasing the blood flow and relaxing the muscles after exercise. A soft tissue massage is then used to help with the repair stages, and this should be used 1 to 2 times a week to increase blood flow, relax the muscles, and help relieve any tension from the muscles. After the first few weeks, taping is less necessary as the muscle is getting stronger and doesn't need the stability from the tape. IASTMN is then used in the remodeling stage twice a week for 4 to 5 weeks. This is needed as it relieves pain and deals with movement issues. So now we're going to go on to the different targets and goals for the athlete. So these are short, medium, long-term goals. They're all SMART targets to ensure that the athlete is being able to complete them. So the first short-term target is that just overall that the athlete is getting enough rest so the injury doesn't get any worse. And then this rest will go on for about 4 days while the pain and swelling reduces. And then week 3 to 5 will include completing stretches once a day for a week. And these stretches should be held for around 20 seconds. And when this is done, the athlete should progress to stretching with resistance bands for 2 more weeks. And then week 6 to 8 involves 3 sets of 10 calf raises once a day for a week. Then this will progress to using weights for an extra 3 weeks. And then weeks 9 to 12 are going to be gaining back 75% of the athlete's range of movement and getting back a majority of their stability too. So weeks 13 to 22 is to complete the sport-specific drills with a ball at high intensity. And finally, the last weeks, the athlete will be gaining back speed and power during their training session. So now moving on to medium-term targets, and the first one is to keep a journal or diary to keep the athlete's thoughts and feelings noted down. This will go on for the first 2 months, or it can even go over the whole treatment time, as it should help motivate the athlete by seeing their progress and can help them see the journey that they've come on. The second medium-term target is to increase their range of movement and add strength and resistance into their training. So the next one is to add intensity and power into their training, and this will help him get to the standard that he was at before his injury had occurred. There's just one long-term target, and this is to get back to where he was before the injury. So this may happen from training with the lower teams and then finally getting back up to playing with the team that he was at before. He might start off with only playing half of matches and then build it up to more and more game time. So his one long-term goal is to be playing in the Premier League again with the team that he was at before. So now we're going to go on to specific exercises needed for each phase. So phase 2 is the functional movement phase. And the first exercise is the plantar and dorsiflexion stretches. And at the start, the athlete is going to be doing these exercises just on the floor without any equipment. So on this PowerPoint I'm going to flick to now, you can see that the original here is just so flexing and pointing the toe. And then the athlete should hold this stretch for around 30 seconds, and if he can't do that, then he can just reduce the time, but he should feel a little stretch in the tendon. And then when the athlete has built up more strength in the tendon, he can progress into using a resistance band to carry out the same movement, and this will add resistance and increase the range of movement for the athlete. So the next Oh, and for this exercise, they'll be doing 5 reps of 3 sets, and they'll have 10 seconds rest in between each stretch. So next is calf raises, and so you can see the original is just on a box, raising up and down and doing this for 10 reps for 3 sets, and then having 20 seconds rest. And if the athlete is finding this difficult, then he can regress to having a partner help stabilize him. However, if he has cracked the calf raises, he can go on to the progression, which is holding weights and doing the same up and down movements of calf raises. So phase 3 is the strengthening phase, and the first set of exercises will be single leg squats. So the first single leg squat, this helps with the tendon strength by putting pressure on the tendon when in the eccentric downward phase of the squat, and stability is needed for the upward phase. It is also good for the athlete's balance. So going on to here, we can see that the original is just them doing it by themselves, and then a regression is if the athlete is finding it too hard, he can have someone holding him to ensure that he is balancing okay. Then to make it a bit harder, the athlete can use weights, and then an extra progression is that he can do a 1 leg squat and then jump on the upward phase. So the force from the jump will help strengthen the tendon, because when he's gone up and landed on it, a lot of force and pressure has gone onto that tendon. So now with the second exercise in phase 3 is a lunge, and the original exercise is with added weight on top of body weight, and then a regression is without weights, just the athlete's body weight. And the progression is the lunge on the balance board, and this should be done without weights at first, and then when the athlete feels okay, he can add weights to the balance board. So now phase 4, and this is the sport specific phase. So the first exercise is light bunny hops, and the athlete will be able to apply this to football, as he will be jumping for headers and jumping to gain possession of the ball. And the original, so going on to the PowerPoint again, the original will be just with the body weight of the athlete, as this is what he will be using in a match. However, to strengthen the tendon, weights can be added, and then to progress even further, he can jump from the floor onto a box and then back down the floor and keep repeating this. And this will be done 8 reps, 4 seconds, and then he can have like 10 seconds rest in between each set. So the next exercise is ladders, and this involves the athlete going through each ladder with each foot. However, to progress this, the athlete should keep working on improving their speed, and once they are happy, they can go through more difficult ladder exercises, which involves changing direction. And overall, this will be good as it helps improve range of motion and movement, and gets the tendon used to moving in different directions when landing. So that one will be done 5 reps, 4 sets. And the final exercise is suicides, and these are agility runs which can be applied to football, as the athlete will be needing to be agile to dodge players, and that will help him be successful. So to start off, there will be 3 reps and 3 sets. And to